Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, we're cruising around Toronto, CN Tower in the background, and we met this dude. What's your name?
Hello, Lance.
Lance.
Yeah.
He was cruising by on an Amego.
Flying by you.
He's cruising by, and Virginia was like, hey, it's Lance. So we were getting ready to review these Infinites, right?
Yes.
Right, I'm gonna jump into that. You guys can finish up, but thank you. Have you enjoyed this? Is it working okay?
It's great.
You
Holds
like
up,
it?
Easy to store.
Yeah.
Lots of kilometers on a battery. And I've been using it like heck. I've got 300 kilometers in the first week or so.
Wow.
Yeah,
is that how long you've owned it? Is this just a week old?
It's about a week and a half, I think. Yeah.
Sweet, man.
Can't
Thank
stop
you.
riding it
Thank you
around.
for going on camera,
Yeah,
right? Like this is just random.
Actually,
your wife.
My wife has
His
one.
wife has one.
She got a bike and married him. This is
Right.
a happily
It's
ever
such a
after.
great happy ever after story. She's got the matching bike, but it's rose gold. So
Aw.
rose gold, she's in for it. It's
That
great.
is awesome. Well, I'm gonna jump into this so that the audience gets their thing. But nice to meet you, dude. So yeah, we're looking at the HighStep over here. This is the Amego Infinite, and I've actually got the step-thru here as well. It's kind of neat to show both of them. The step-thru comes with the 26-inch wheel size, a little bit smaller, or 27.5, whereas the HighStep only comes with 27.5. Fairly affordable product here. I think this is $23.99 Canadian, $19.99 US. And considering that it has aluminum alloy fenders with mud flaps, so we got the rack with the bungee, lights, they are not integrated. That one runs off of 2 AAA batteries. You have to press the little on-off button. The front one is integrated, still have to press this on-off button. But the fact that it has lights and everything, it's great. It makes it commuter ready, right? That's sort of how I am arranging these bikes on the website now. So it's a commuter bike if it has fenders and lights and everything. I like that this one also has the Suntour NEX suspension fork. At first glance, it doesn't seem like there are any adjustments here. You don't see like a compression lockout, but it actually does have preload adjustment under these caps. If you pull this up carefully, otherwise you can kind of break the plastic, you can preload it for your body weight. So I'm a little bit lighter, so I like to like unload it a lot and get that nice cushy ride. I like this particular model we're looking at here because it has the Schwalbe Big Bend tires. These are 27.5 by 2 inch, so they're a little bit wider versus like 1.75 over here on the 26 inch. They're both really nice though. Check it out. They got reflective sidewall stripes and everything. They've got some puncture resistance. Schwalbe does really good tires in my experience. I love the fenders that are aluminum, the aluminum alloy pedals that are a little bit extra thick, and they've got these pins. We've got an aluminum bash guard right here. It acts as a guide on the outside, but we don't have an inner guide. So this is one of those situations where if you're on a really bumpy terrain, depending on what gear you're in, if it's fairly slack, I have experienced derailment, not on this particular bike, but on similar bikes. So that's one of the things just to kind of keep an eye on. I sort of keep cycling a little bit if it's really bumpy, kind of keep that going so you don't drop the chain. But if it does come off, they've got a slap guard right here, and so it's going to protect the nice color. This one comes in space gray, which is what we see in that other frame, as well as this nice brushed aluminum alloy. We've got bottle cage bosses, which could double as like a mini pump holder or maybe a folding lock. You might also just want to take these off, considering it's a HighStep frame. You know, I've measured the standover height and the other dimensions here, but that's in a kind of a vulnerable place. But I'm glad they put them on at all. I mean, maybe they could have fit them here, but because they've got that like sloping top tube, it might not have fit as well. So I think they're doing the best they can. One of the other things that stands out about this bike is that there's this big controller box right here, and that handles 18 amps, so it's a little bit zippier. It's fully potted, so it's sealed against like water and other elements, which is nice if you're in a city like Toronto where it rains, it snows and stuff like that. And you know, with the fender here, it feels like that's pretty well protected. It helps to keep the batteries a little bit more affordable. So I think on this bike, are we looking at the 48 volt 13 amp hour pack?
Yes.
Okay, and you have one that's like 16 amp hours.
Yes, so you can do battery upgrade.
How much is it for that upgrade?
$300 Canadian, so about $250 US.
Sweet. And that's at time of purchase. If you wanted to get it afterwards, like just fully separate, like a second battery, how much do you know it would be?
It's $699 Canadian for the 13, $999 for the 16, and then US dollars is about 35% cheaper.
Amazing. So many numbers. You're doing a great job, Virginia.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I mean, this is your baby, right? You you designed this, and this is your brand. It sort of matches your shop, which we just rode from kind of downtown. How long have you been doing Amego?
I think this is my 9th year.
Wow.
I'm getting old.
Losing track. I know, like a decade in business. Oh, you're not looking old though. You're looking great.
Well, thank you.
Probably because you ride bikes like all the time, right? Like outside, happy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to riding more because we're expanding our warehouse to a further location. I'm looking forward to the ride. We've got this like DVP trail. That
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, these bikes have been around for a while. I reviewed them a year or two ago. And I like the colors, I like the value, and then the fact that you have actually partnered up and kind of worked with people who do delivery driving. And so they use these bikes like crazy, and it feels like you've learned from that experience and you've tried to make it like bulletproof, right?
Yes. Yeah, this here is our #1 delivery riding electric bike, but also city commuting too.
Sure.
And yeah, the great thing is, the reliability of that controller, the motor. It's all affordable parts and components to replace too, which is great.
Oh, and it's modular, because we've seen like there's the kind of quick disconnects and stuff up here.
Yeah.
And you can disconnect the throttle, but the throttle is one of the big upgrades for 2019. It's a little bit slimmer, maybe more reliable. Is that what I was hearing you say earlier?
Yeah, it's a lot more robust. We had the other throttles, sometimes they could stick or sometimes the piece would break off. This one here is a lot more durable, and it's just in a much better placement. Before you kind of had to move your thumb over. So it's nice and easy, and that throttle is really great if you're on a steep hill wanting to get started, just press it.
Yeah.
Or it's a real city commuting bike, and if you're kind of going through traffic or a tight space, I kind of like pressing that throttle.
Yeah, precisely. And the fact that that throttle now isn't quite as in the way of the trigger shifters, right? So this bike is a one by. I've noticed some of the other bikes that you carry, they have triple chain rings. I like that that's a little bit more compact, lightweight, considering how much this bike has, like all these features. 58 pounds, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So it's doing pretty well. The batteries are actually similar weight, so 9.2 pounds, whether you get the upgraded capacity or the stock battery. And I like that it's got this little USB charging port. I can't get it off because I have gloves on. Maybe you can help me out with those nails. Beautiful. So I plugged my iPhone into that, and it actually it showed the little lightning bolt, so it looked like it was charging. They have right angle USB adapters on Amazon, so you could potentially mount your phone up here. And this has the adjustable stem, so I think you kind of pull that down like this, and you can twist the bar, or you can tip it forward. I have it in the perfect position for me. I like this like upright Dutch orientation, because I've kind of got back and neck sensitivity, and I like to be friendly and wave at people while I'm riding and stuff like that. So this is set up perfect for me right now. We got the Freeway. This is a gel saddle from Sully Royale, very comfortable, and even a suspension seat post. So this is 27.2 millimeter diameter if you wanted to upgrade it, 40 millimeters of travel roughly. So not a ton, but when you combine that with the suspension fork, roughly 63 millimeters of travel up there, and then those slightly higher volume tires, it's a pretty safe bike, it's pretty reliable, and again, value priced. Some other things that I noticed while looking at this, we have Shimano Acera derailleur, that's several steps up, 11 to 32 tooth cassette, so it's got decent range there, 48 tooth chain ring up front, and then look at that, so they've got the steel, it's kind of a derailleur guard, so it protects that derailleur, but also the motor power cable in this place. So you can see that there's like a quick disconnect as well, so that if the bike tipped over or something, that's gonna give you a little bit more toughness. On the other side of the bike, we've got the hydraulic disc brakes, which is a nice upgrade. 160 millimeters in the rear, so it's a little bit smaller. That's kind of the standard size, and then upgraded 180s in the front. A lot of your weight, when you're stopping, you kind of shifts forward, and your braking power happens at the front. Both of these levers are going to be fairly easy to pull, and you can adjust the reach, bring them in a little bit if you have smaller hands. So these are the Tektro Ariga. Both of them have motor inhibitors as well. Does this one not have a motor inhibitor on the... Did it what?
Yeah, it's only on...
Only on the left? Yes. Oh, okay. That's interesting. We were looking at another bike earlier today where one had it and one didn't, so I was a little bit surprised, kind of catching me off guard here.
Yeah, we did that just to make it so there's not as many wires in the front, and it's a cleaner cockpit.
I'm seeing that now. Yeah, and we talked about the displays, because I've seen the bigger center mount one, and this one's over on the left, and it frees up that space. Okay, so good to know. This is an important point, like, given that this is a cadence sensing bike, There's a 12 magnet sensor right there. It's sealed. It's really compact and durable in that position. And it's actually fairly responsive, but it's nice to know that at any point in time you can override it by pulling the left brake lever, okay? So just keep that in mind. Thank you, Virginia. I appreciate that feedback. I think the other thing I wanted to point out is that, it does have that kickstand. It's sort of a center mount design, adjustable length, but because it's right there in the middle, you can get pedal lock, which means if you're backing the bike out of your garage or something like this, it collides and you can't get the bike back anymore. So a lot of times what I'll do is sort of tip the bike up on the kickstand, pedal it forward for a moment, and then you're freed up. What else do you want to share about this bike while we're on the topic? I mean, any other updates for 2019?
So an exciting update is we're working with Accelerated Systems out of Waterloo to offer a controller upgrade.
Interesting.
And that controller is going to go right here, and it's going to be a smoother pedal assist. Well, you can change it, so you can have 3 different riding modes. So we're developing all the different riding modes, but you can make it so that it feels like a torque pedal assist instead of speed sensor pedal assist.
Interesting.
At that lower price. And the big thing is that reliability, because that's what we're really after with this bike, is the highest reliability bike that is a good entry-level price and good style.
Of course, yeah, it's very much, I mean, we had one that's like gold, and then there's rose gold and stuff. For the HighStep, given that this is maybe a little bit more masculine build, you went with the brushed aluminum or the space gray.
Actually, it's matte black.
Oh, it's matte black.
Yes, so matte black. And matte black is our most popular color, and we actually have sold out.
Oh.
We will be getting more in about a month or so.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, and actually we have 4 containers of our Infinites almost being done at the factory.
Sweet. 2
going to the US and 2 here to Canada.
Fantastic, and just in time for, like, we're getting towards summer right now, and the weather's nice. I mean, it's still a little bit nippy out here. So that controller thing, is that just an option, or are they all going to start doing that?
So no, it's going to be an upgrade option.
Because some people like the cadence sensor, where it's like you really don't have to push as much, you just kind of move the cranks. Is this one supposed to ramp up more smoothly?
So,
or
it'll ramp up smoother, but you can still make it. You can choose if you want just that lighter assist, or if you want that more powerful, you can choose that option.
Okay.
And then it Bluetooth connects to our phone, and there's lots of different settings.
A lot of stuff. We're gonna have to check that out at some point. That's cool.
So
Very
we'll
cool.
We'll have that update soon.
Right, maybe put a video up or something about that. So I like that there's the bell. We've got the ergonomic locking grips so they won't spin. But keep in mind, like, the handlebar does twist if you use that adjustment. And if you're going off curbs and stuff a lot, just check on this. There is like a bolt in there you can tighten so that this doesn't rattle loose. But I love that it's kind of a riser stem and adjustable angle, and we've got several spacers right there. This is a tapered head tube, so you could upgrade the suspension fork if you want to. This is kind of fine for, like, city riding. I feel like that's pretty comprehensive. But maybe we can show the battery pack. One of the things that I like about these bikes is whether you get an Infinite, or maybe you get one of your, like, mountain bikes, or actually several bikes in this category. There's that other company, NCM.
Yeah, so NCM, Amego, all interchanging batteries. And another thing we're working on too, I'm just trying to get it right now, is a 48 volt 21 amp hour battery as an upgrade too, because we have a lot of customers who, if they use it for food delivery, what's most important?
Range.
Longest range. They want to be out as long as possible. So yeah, we're looking into that update right now and hoping to have that for 2019.
And amazingly, like, coming from the 48 volt 13 amp hour to the 16 amp hour, they were the same weight. So it's like, I'm imagining a 21 is probably not going to be too much heavier.
It actually is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Is it physically bigger?
It's a bigger case. So the case goes out, it goes out a bit wider here.
Oh, okay.
But it still gives the same clearance, so it fits in all of our bikes. We tested them. And
interesting. Okay, well, it's cool. This is like the semi-integrated stepped-in battery. And while we're on it, you want to just take that off. I'd love to show people. It's a spring-loaded locking cylinder. Then there's that handle that you pull out, lift the battery up. This is 9.2 pounds, and you can see, the 48 volts here, aluminum alloy casing. We got the charging, like, USB adapter. So if you were, like, on a picnic or something, you could actually plug your phone into this and draw a little bit of juice. Also, when it gets really cold or really hot, it's a good idea to kind of store that battery separately from the bike. And maybe you have to park your bike outside or something. Maybe bring that into your utility room or something, and kind of keep it topped off if you aren't going to use it for a while. Those are some of the tips that I hear. I think that's great. You can go ahead and put it back on there. While she's doing that, I'm going to point out the charger. This is a 2 amp. It's kind of standard. I see this Sans charger on a lot of e-bikes. Weighs about 1.5 pounds. Comes with a toolkit and some instructions and stuff, some good documentation. Yeah, I think that's about it, right? Oh, except for maybe where you charge the battery, there's a little rubber cover right here, and sometimes I've had trouble getting that to stick in, but they've actually updated it in recent years. It seems like it's working a little bit better, but the positioning of it, see how it's near this crank arm? You just don't want to accidentally move that and kind of bump that. Could kind of bend it, so be careful with that. Any other thoughts before we get on and do a little ride?
Yeah, I was looking at the Be Limitless, and that is our slogan, because when you have one of our electric bikes, you kind of feel like you have superpowers, go that further distance,
right? Yeah. And super efficiently.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, depending on your diet, like e-bikes can be a more efficient way to get around even than pedaling a bike. And because the grid is getting greener and greener with more and more solar. So that's my personal plug. That's their slogan, and I really think it speaks to like the vision of this bike. So I'm gonna hop on this thing. If you haven't used the bike for a while, you got to press that power button on top of the battery, and then press the power button on the display. Stow that kickstand. I'm gonna ride carefully around here. Thankfully, it's not like a super heavy traffic time of day. It starts in assist level 1. Okay, that's the default, and the throttle is hot at all times, even in assist level 0. Okay, so one of the other things, I just did it. If you press the minus key again, it goes from 0 all the way up to 6, so it circles around, which is kind of cool. You don't have to click that plus button a whole bunch of times. And then if we go all the way up to 6, it goes all the way down to 0 again. So it's kind of cool. You can jump back and forth in this display. If you hold the plus button for a couple seconds, it turns on backlighting. This is a monochrome grayscale display. 6 ticks on that battery infographic. Speed in kilometers per hour up there. The top default speed is 20 miles per hour, 32 kilometers per hour. But if you get into the settings menu by holding plus and minus, you can actually adjust the top speed. You can lower it or you can raise it. You can remove that throttle pretty easily. There's a quick disconnect, so you can make this a class 3 if you wanted to. A lot of options. Assist level, and then down here we've got, like trip distance, timer, a maximum speed, average speed. There's a lot of great feedback on here just by pressing that M. And then if you hold the minus key, I should have done this before, you get that like walk mode going. There we go. And that could be nice if you got a flat tire or maybe it's crowded. And there is a password on the settings. What was that again? 8088?
8088.
I got the passwords. We're good. Okay, I'm gonna pedal this thing. I'm gonna do assist level 6 and just give you guys a view. Feeling pretty stable here. It's a little bit windy up on this bridge. We got a crosswind, so I want to be safe. But yeah, like with the larger diameter wheels on the HighStep, the 27.5, you get a lower attack angle, which helps you to span cracks and things like this a little bit more smoothly, right? But it does raise the frame up off the ground a little bit more. That's something to keep in mind. If you're petite, the step-through frame is going to be a good option. And we can see Virginia there with that headlight looking good. It does point where you steer. There we go. So the 26, the standover height's quite a bit lower. The minimum saddle height is still a little bit high because they've got that like seat post up there, but this is definitely the bigger bike. And then you can see that rear light also helping to keep visibility. It's below the rack, so if you put like a trunk bag or panniers, you're still going to get some visibility from the rear and a little bit from the sides. But do remember to turn that thing off because it has 2 AAA batteries inside, and if you leave them on, maybe you get excited, you park the bike, the front light's going to turn off when you turn the bike off. But that rear light, it could stay on, which would be just a potential to drain your battery. Also, that front light, it is that physical button. So there's just an extra step that you've got to think about with these lights. One of the things I've heard, with people asking like, oh, why aren't they both integrated and running off the big battery? What I've been told is that it's a little bit more reliable when they ship these bikes, because these are sold online as well as in store. Cool. Single-handed braking is working pretty well here. Trying to obey all those local laws. You good here? Yeah. There's the no-hand shot. Feeling pretty stable once you get up to speed and everything. Up, we got another stoplight. That's the other thing. It's so nice to be able to take the throttle because you're not always shifting down into those lower gears. So yeah, I'm gonna do the throttle off this next starting point. Oh, we get, yep, there it is. Throttle time. It's a nice feeling. Okay guys, from here you can see that 48 tooth chainring with that nice alloy guard. It does help to keep your pant legs or dress from like snagging on the chainring, but I've still got a little slap bracelet there to keep my jeans in good shape. That little slap guard sticker, 11 to 32 teeth on the rear cassette. I'm gonna switch through the gears and just ride along, and you can get an idea for how quickly that motor responds and how quiet it is. It's actually pretty quiet for a geared hub motor. Feels pretty smooth, 500 watt nominal, planetary geared, so it's a little bit lighter and kind of zippier than if it were a gearless motor, but there's no regen or anything like that. It's just a zippy motor. Nice 13 gauge spokes too, a little bit thicker, give you some extra strength, 36 of those versus 32 or 28. Those hydraulic disc brakes are working pretty well for the stops on this bike. It's really smooth, easy to use with those hydraulic disc brake levers too, especially when it gets a little cold out. It's just nice to have that. You don't have to work quite as hard. They're not dealing with cable stretch. Well guys, I think that's about it. We've had fun cruising around town. Virginia, thank you so much for taking me on these tours and sharing your bikes.
So glad you're here, Cart.
Absolutely, this is good stuff. That's the Amego Infinite for 2019. I'll see you back at the site for all the specs and measurements. You can compare these bikes back to back. I'm gonna review both. Have fun out there, you guys. Ride safe. Love ya. See you next time.